All right, we are taking a look at Package Panic by Gerolmed. Um, is it Panpuckin?
Panpukin, but I honestly never decided on pronunciation.
Okay. And yeah, thank you so much for both joining me on the stream here today. Why don't we just quickly, I'm just going to go alphabetically with who's in the call right now. So if we can start with Gerolmed then, can you talk a little bit about your background in game development and your role on this project?
I'm basically a hobby developer. We have a hobby team, indie team where we do indie development. We're also Panpukin or Michelle is also part of, and I do project lead and lead development in there mostly. So
Mhm.
yeah, organizing stuff, doing the stuff nobody wants to code, so the leftovers and that kind of stuff. Yeah, generally been working a lot with Unity. Kind of
Yeah.
sums it up.
Okay. Oh, let me just. Oh, okay. I was just trying to see if I could keep this on screen, but it seems like if I zoom in at a certain point, the UI doesn't play nicely. So I'll just keep it centered like that, so we can see who's talking.
Mhm.
Okay,
Alright.
and then Pan.
Yes, I'm, as Johannes mentioned, part of Team Endrealm, which is a little hobbyist studio kind of thing. I'm the lead artist of the project that we're currently working on, which is Uncured. It's a different little project. And yeah, I basically am responsible for all the art, be it sprites or animations or UI, everything you basically see.
Nice. All right. So we'll go ahead and get into the actual game here. Can you talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the game?
Sure. So we were thinking of, how could we make deliveries? So we thought we would simulate deliveries and go more in that. At first, we wanted to go a bit more in the idle direction. It's not directly an idle game at the end of the day, more of a simulation tycoon.
Hmm.
But the idea was basically that you would have this high level control and all those little trucks would go out and deliver your packages basically to the customers everywhere.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I see different trucks can carry only their own type of package.
right. So there is three resource types in theory. There
Mhm.
is a mail, there is packages, and there is drone packages. The thing is,
Right.
drones don't work.
Okay. So we just gotta just ignore the drones for now, and then
Yes.
okay, no problem. Um, Customer satisfaction drops 0, you lose the game. Okay. We click to move the map around. Okay. Um, I'm guessing this tutorial, like it's there looks like there's a lot of complexity here, especially in the menu system. So how like close to the deadline were you working on this?
The
Um,
tutorial? Oh wow.
the tutorial was made in like the last half hour before
Yeah, yeah,
we just threw that together quickly, just threw some screenshots in the background because we were just like, it's kind of unplayable if you don't know what to do.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so it looks like the first thing I should be doing is um, okay.
You
So I
would
can
probably want
hire,
to buy a unit, yes.
yes, one of these guys for that's $10 a day, and I have 1,500. So let me try buying at least one of these guys. And well, that's just for boxes though. I'll probably also
Yeah,
need a mail carrier.
correct.
Okay. And then the big button in the middle of the screen here is to like start sending packages or
No, if you click that, you're able to view the world map, basically.
oh, okay. So I should be looking at that.
Yeah, you want to unlock a district because in general, you only unlock districts are presented or are valid package and mail targets. Unlocking more
Okay.
of them will basically allow you to earn more money.
I
Um,
see. So the first like region you buy was free. Oh, I'm all time is passing.
Yeah, there is a small bug where I think the region is misplaced, as you can see, so it goes over to the purple area. It's just
Mhm.
one tile too far to the right side. Usually they stick to their districts.
Okay, right. And then, oh, we
Oh,
got a, hmm.
how did that happen? I've
Oh
never
God.
experienced that. Maybe
I I do this to people's games so often is I get them on stream and then they're like, how, what? Never seen that happen before.
maybe restart the game, but go to full screen immediately. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
okay.
if that might have been it.
People are just going to have to see based on our, they'll have to tell who's speaking based on our voices. I think we all sound reasonably distinct. Sometimes I get like 5 people on and it's like very hard to keep track of who's who, but
Yeah. It
It'll be
sadly
fine.
doesn't save your state, so you gotta just skip through the tutorial,
yeah,
but
that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so we'll go ahead and purchase some mail carriers and then we'll also grab this immediately rather than waiting. And we'll get back to our sort of overview here. Um, so, um, can you talk a little bit about the development process for the game? I guess both from the like programming development side and also the art side.
so we structured our development quite task based, let's say. So we thought of a concept that was our first start, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
mapped out all the features we wanted in a small documentation, and then basically went ahead and created tickets for every functionality we wanted to have in game. On the development side, we then just started working them from top to bottom, or rather from high priority to low priority. And the art side is probably best on Michel's end.
Yeah, on my end, there was basically no ticket system, even though we had a bit of a organization stuff there. I don't work well with tickets, so I kind of just did my own thing and asked the devs what they needed along the way. Yeah, it takes more time for me to come up with the ticket names than just doing them as we go.
Gotcha. So, what program did you use to like write out the game development or the game design doc, as it were?
So I think the we primarily usually we use CodeMD, but in this case we actually used GitHub Wiki and GitHub project boards for the documentation side of things and organizational side of things.
Nice. Yeah, I have. I guess a lot of the time I'm bouncing back and forth between just writing everything in a Google Doc, or sometimes using Asana, or we started using GitHub at work as well. GitHub, the not the wiki, but just the regular like writing stuff out in issues and milestones and projects and that sort of thing. So was I right in that I could fire my regular workers now that I've got these trucks?
Yes, you can fire them in theory. They do carry more packages. One thing to watch out is that if a package or mail remains more than 24 hours, you will lose customer satisfaction, which is in the world view or just in the view, the top left bar, as you can see. If you run
Yes.
out of satisfaction, you lose. And there's currently no real way to visualize the packages that are still waiting. We had animations in that, but we just ran out of time for adding such minor features that would help the player actually play the game better. So you just gotta hope that you get all deliveries done. But you
Okay.
can see it quite good when the cars are used up on the right top right side. That shows you basically if they're currently fully under load. And as you can see, your package wagon is currently
Mhm.
always out of yeah.
I
So
see.
you
So it would be
might want to
worth
get an extra
carrying.
unit on both because you're losing satisfaction.
Yeah, I see that bar is starting to go down. Okay, sounds good. And then, Michelle, for the creating the art, what tools do you use for that?
I basically only used a sprite for
Hmm.
all the animations and sprites.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, how do you actually go about like planning out the UI and the layout of things?
Oh, usually you just start with a sort of mock-up. In
Mhm.
this case, I first decided on a palette. We recently developed our own kind of custom color palette for another game that we were doing. So I just used that, and from there I just went ahead, did a few little car sprites. Actually, the first sprites I did were the ones at the top right there, the little trucks and drones and stuff. And from there I just kind of expanded upon the game and did the buildings, did the UI, did the environment. Yeah, just kind of by feeling.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the layout of everything looks really nice, and it is all like really nicely spaced out as well. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's very important about UIs. It's honestly, I hate doing UIs, but if I do them, I want to do them right.
Absolutely. Tooltip for buttons would have been good. I mean, yeah, tooltips.
I
this
agree.
was built in Unity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Unity doesn't really have a built-in way of creating tooltips. I know because I had to build tooltips for the project that I'm working on for my day job from scratch. Like fundamentally, tooltips are not hard to do, but doing them right is hard to do.
Yeah, especially aligning them so they don't just point out of the screen and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And we basically went in there without any additional libraries, so you reuse code basically. So making them all in time was. The UI toolkit is even the new one is even more difficult, I think, with the tooltips partially. Yeah, especially for pixel art games, that's always very hard to use.
Oh yeah, especially with the fonts. Totally.
Yeah. The new UI toolkit is well built for a like reactive UI that responds to like changing screens, which is great for like mobile games where phone manufacturers are just like, forget standardization. Everything has a different layout and a different bunch of notches and holes and things wrong with your screen. We're going to get our new U-shaped screens sometime soon, and our new circular screens with a donut hole cut out of the middle. Who knows? But yeah, so the UI toolkit is good for having reactive stuff like that. But in terms of just like simple, clean offsets from things, you end up having to write a lot of it by hand. So yeah, sometimes having those off-screen placement issues. So just as a small aside, I have written a library that the easiest way that I found to like move things around and have like stuff stay on screen is I have a universal reference to a top level transform in my game. A transform which is bounded to the edges of the screen so that anything that needs to check if it's trying to stay on screen can just check if like reparent itself to that top level transform, make sure it's inside the bounds of it, and then put itself like back at a level where it's supposed to be. I'm not going into very much detail, but that's the general idea, is just having one transform that everything can kind of reference and say like, okay, I just got to make sure I'm inside the bounds of that.
Yeah, totally.
It's all good, Wigs. I mean, these are the kind of questions that I want people to be asking. Just use Godot. That's a bad cop suggestion. I mean, what, does Godot have built-in like tooltips? All right, so I guess we can move on to the next question then. What was and I'll pose this to both of you separately for development and art tasks, but what was the most difficult problem you encountered during the jam, and what was your solution?
So for the coding side, it's quite easy. It's actually the delivery system. Also, you might want to watch out, you're losing satisfaction.
Oh, okay.
Just saying that it goes down very, very quickly. Just spam a few wagons. You have a lot of money, so you're able to just buy a few to counter it. So one of the hardest challenges was the delivery system, because we didn't just have like a traveling salesman problem, but we had a more complex one because we had multiple people from multiple starting positions, because you have like multiple warehouses and each district gives you an additional one to lots of locations on the map, and try to solve that when every wagon or some of the wagons can carry multiple packages for multiple targets. So that gets very, very tough. I think we had 3 approaches and 2 of them we threw away. And that was basically day 1 and day 2 thrown away on
Goodness.
that end. And day 3 was actually the implementation. The third one wasn't done by me. I know how it works on the top level because I got myself to, I basically went through and whitelisted it, the idea. But the idea is following a biological ant pattern, basically. So ants leave these scent trails, and we're basically using that, and every truck basically leaves a scent trail, and the others try to avoid scents of the others. So it's like an inverse of the ant of an ant. And that's how they spread out. And because they try to find optimal routes from their first target delivery and so on, they basically find a somewhat optimal solution. It's not perfect, but it does its job quite well. And it's pretty performant, actually, because we have like a lot of units and they do a lot of A-star algorithms to find themselves everything. So yeah, it works out really well. And that was a quite cool trick, actually, to get it running.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I never would have thought about using like an algorithm like that for, but it seems like perfect for a problem like this. So Lebret actually asked in the chat here, do you know which software was used for the music? And well, we don't have the person who did the music on with us, do we?
No, sadly not. And we actually didn't get to talk too much to the person doing the music in this case. So I am not sure who, or not rather, not who, but basically what tools they used.
We're not sure who did the music. It just kind of showed up spontaneously in the game one day.
Nah, that's. But the person was there from time to time, just online once a day. At the end of the day, we had a track.
Yeah, I mean, they were on time. They just were kind of mysterious about it.
Well, I mean, I guess you can work with that, right?
Their name is Chip Tommy, though, by the way. Just to mention it, because our credits are broken at my fault. Yeah.
They only contain management, which is a good thing. It just says management.
Johannes did everything.
It's in-game. There's in-game credits in the escape menu, basically. And
okay.
It has a cool credit screen in general.
It was so nice. I spent so much time making a funny credits screen with like little notes and everything. It was so nice, but I just didn't save it over the old one.
Oh no, it just says the word management again and again.
Yeah,
I like that. It's great. It's great credits.
Oh.
Okay. But you're able to list that on the itch.io page, right?
Yeah, we listed pretty much everybody except the musician, because the musician never really responded back with the actual account name on itch.io.
Okay.
And Ludum Dare has this, you gotta friend me, I gotta friend you, and then we can add you system.
Such a pain, yeah.
And yeah, we just didn't get that.
Yeah, unfortunately, but they did a really amazing job with the music. I do have to say, like, I love it.
Yeah, I'm keeping it kind of quiet, but it is. Here, I can probably turn it up a little bit. I can just sort of barely hear it, so there we go. That should be a little more audible. But yeah, folks should definitely check the game out themselves. Oh, I'm losing happiness so fast. I need to just.
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
this is. It's so hard to tell, like, why am I losing happiness? Is it just because people aren't getting their deliveries fast enough?
Yes, that's basically it. So the idea was actually, I think you need even more wagons, because there's like a somewhat exponential algorithm. There's a very complex noise algorithm generating the amount, because why not put that time in that? But in general, yeah, that happens. We had the idea of little packages and that kind of stuff jumping on the houses where they should be delivered, and they would get angrier, and that would indicate basically where there's packages missing. But yeah, we ran out of time. We had the animations, but
So, is there any reason to be purchasing like regular mail carriers when these more expensive, like higher capacity mail trucks are available?
Um,
No.
Not really once you have unlocked them. The balancing was also a thing that was basically a bit, you know, we didn't get to balance it that much. So the prices should probably have respected more that you would buy the bad ones over
Okay.
having, always the newest ones. But basically, it's worth just buying them. And I know I'm telling how to break the game, but just buying a lot of them because the packages scale, especially if you get more districts, and that just solves that.
I'm trying. Got 100 of each truck at this point. Well, almost. There we go.
We had people reporting back with like 4 million money.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, one person had, what was it, 10,000 trucks?
Yeah, 10,000 trucks.
God. You have to buy each one individually. I still don't know how they did it.
You got to be able to place bulk orders on these things. Yeah, I am. In a funny way, like you mentioned that this was going to be like your original ideas were more of like an idle game, and it's like, well, it still kind of is that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm running like per later levels of happiness right now, and maybe someday I'll reach like UPS levels and then Amazon levels after that. I don't know. Instead of smiley faces, you should just have like small versions of the various shipping company logos in order of how much people hate them.
That would have been a
Johannes, do
good
we have the
idea.
budget to get sued? I don't
No,
know.
no, because the pixels are so small that people can't tell.
We're gonna say it's Beamison. The good old famous Beamison icon.
Yep. Now, unfortunately, the only problem with that idea is that, and I say the only problem with that idea is that you've got USPS, the U.S. Postal Service, at the very bottom there. It would break the rating scale. Yeah, Weeks is mentioning you played a game about Amazon. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
hard to pronounce it.
various corruptions. Okay, let's see. I've got nearly 200 trucks and people still per later levels of hate here. Anyway, so do you have any plans to make updates to the game after the gem's over?
So not to the game we have on that version right away because we have our main project which we're working on, and that takes a lot of time and resources on our end. There's some efforts to rework the concept and possibly make it more of a mobile game because as you can see, most of those menus are quite optimized for using them on mobile as well in terms of the buttons and the layouts. Some stuff has to be reworked and the balancing, and there's probably also going to be a PC version, but it's just in theory, one person is just working on remaking a concept, so maybe but we just don't have the resources, and at some point somebody might make an update to that game, but not really.
By the way, you can actually play it on mobile. I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
It works fine. Just the map is a bit bugged out when you move around on it, but it works.
I guess because it's bound to the cursor input.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any keyboard inputs or anything, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you can move with WASD on the map, though.
All right, yeah, I told you to do that, and you wasted time on it.
I was forced to do that. Yeah, the analytics building is basically just giving you analytics. Yes. We had actually one of the concepts we wanted to integrate were like rush hours, where you would see in the statistics where they would rapidly go up, and you might want to buy units just to handle that for one day and then sell them again, like special events. There is a algorithm behind that, and it has drops in there, but they are kind of tiny and more of it on a daily basis, and these are the statistics only show the day, so on average it always just rises.
So in this case, how do I actually make the happiness go up more? Because it looks like my trucks are not even being used that much.
So there is no way to get it up. We had that planned and wanted to do that if you have no package lost over X hours or days, it would go up. But we then
Okay.
decided against that because it was so easy just breaking the game by just spamming units that we had to somehow counter that and just say, okay, there is a way to lose.
I see. So people are just going to permanently remain mad at me. My reputation is forever ruined. The only thing I
Yes.
can do is spend more money on buying more districts to make better use of the vehicles that I've got.
Yes, exactly. Especially because they give you these warehouses that you can move. You can click on them. Those are the small buildings with a
Oh,
truck. They're
yeah.
on the map, and you can click on them and then move them around. In theory, that would
Oh.
allow you to optimize routes.
Mm-hmm.
Judge yourself if that's required, or if you can just buy more units. But that's the theory.
Right.
We're talking about concept and balancing here.
Yeah, I see. And then was there an idea at some point to be able to buy more of these distribution centers?
Actually, it was intended that you would buy them,
Mm-hmm.
but we had no good way of adding them, so you would have to, buy them and then you would place them on the map right
Mm-hmm.
away. So we just, for the sake of time and fixing other stuff, we just said, okay, let's just put them in a district, and every district basically gives you one as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's really neat because if you hadn't pointed that mechanic out, I'm not sure I would have noticed it. I had to sort of skim the instructions for the game because we were talking at the time, and
Mhm.
hard to listen to somebody and read at the same time.
Yeah.
Our amazing, gorgeous instructions. You just didn't read them. The ones that we spent so much time on.
Oh, so in that way, I'm really just like every gamer.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, you can also buy the drone building because I think it looks quite cool. It's actually the only building that is animated, I believe.
Oh, it's got the little
Yeah.
drone flying up and down.
It looks cool, but I think it kills you. I think it destroys your game.
No, it does not. It does not kill you, the drone building. I
But
think you
buying
can just
drones
buy it.
does.
Hmm?
Buying drones ruins your game, I think, somehow.
Okay, so don't buy any drones.
Yeah.
Oh, because I see drones just carry types of packages anyway.
They should have their own packages there, but I think somebody just put in the wrong. They're scriptable objects and Unity phrases, and I think somebody just had the wrong icons in there.
Mm.
They do carry a different type, and there is an icon, but as they were broken, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, so I think that at this point I could sort of watch how long this empire lasts, and in fact, let's go ahead and hit. Oh, I think I've been on fast forward. Wait, that's pause. That's fast forward. Okay. Oh yeah. Thank you for the posture check. Straighten up a bit here. All right. Well, I guess in terms of feedback I could give on the project, I mean, it sounds like a lot of features that I would have requested kind of were in the pipeline, like the plan. There wasn't time to actually implement it. But I think that one of the things I might have recommended was not bothering to actually do pathfinding to all the different buildings here. Just from the perspective that, as far as it serves the gameplay, I don't think it was actually necessary for real pathfinding to go on here. I think you could have just had this as a representative animation and not actually thought about what trucks need to go where, just kind of randomly tell things to follow various paths and points.
One of the ideas was basically that the packages would be there and there would be like a money symbol plopping up if they reach that, and that would have required the routing.
I see. So it was kind of just laying the foundation for potentially more elaborate development.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry that you ended up putting all this extra effort in and implementing this really cool algorithm, and then we can see the results of it, but not you don't really get the rewards of how like everything that enables. We don't really get to see the benefit of that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But Yeah, so the emphasis is going to remain on your main project. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Uh, glad if we can. It's basically a roguelike 2D platformer game.
Hmm.
Um, it's not on there. It has its own
Okay.
website if you're interested.
Ooh. Yeah, feel free to drop a link in chat if you would like to share it.
Sure. Michelle, would you do that? What I
Yep,
explained?
on it.
Um, it's it has the game is basically a dystopian roguelike, or rather roguelite nowadays, where
Hmm.
you have a train and that you build up and expand, find new NPCs. There's factions to talk to. You unlock weapons, upgrade weapons, and there's a lot of dungeons where you could fight yourself through, and they are basically built up as roguelikes. The combat itself is very close to Dead Cells, which is one of our inspirations for the game.
Okay.
And it's more about having like this progression and RPG element. So we're taking the approach from Dead Cells, which is itself is a platformer, roguelike Metroidvania game, and we're
Hmm.
taking that and fitting it in more of a RPG genre, basically, adding more story around it, more interaction, more depth to the world. There's morality decisions that change the world, basically, and influence your further gameplay, and so on.
Oh wow. The so the all the animations are like actually hand-drawn animation. Like the attacks, I should say, are hand-drawn animations.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thank
It
you.
looks
Thanks
really
a
good
lot.
too. I
Right,
Yeah.
can tell
and
some of this is definitely still placeholder for now, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we're
A lot
currently
of it,
working
actually.
on a combat demo to
Mhm,
fine tune basically the combat itself and make
mhm,
it playable for everybody so we can get some feedback. And while that, we're doing a lot of prototyping textures on some ends just to get this huge amount of textures covered. There's like a huge tie set for the dungeons. The generation
mm.
algorithm is also pretty insane large. And there's like the trains, the characters, and we just have basically one artist. Or previously we had one, we got a new one, but
Yeah, very recently we got a new one.
No, that's
um,
awesome.
yeah,
So you mentioned Dead Cells. I haven't played Dead Cells. The only like 2D sort of combat game that I've played and really enjoyed actually was the original NES Zelda 2. I'm not sure if you've
okay.
ever played or seen much of it.
I have not. I must say that is not what I've played.
The reason I mention it is because be- with it being an NES game, what I found to be really neat about it is how economical it was with the controls. So when when you're not pressing any buttons, Link is standing with his shield in front of him, which means he will by default block certain attacks.
Mhm.
And then if you press down, then he crouches and naturally blocks anything that's low. But now his shield is down, so anything that tries to attack sort of his middle will hit his head. So you have
Mhm.
either the opportunity to block something in front of you or block something low. From the
Mhm.
animations I was seeing in your game, it looked like you were having more of an emphasis on dodging out of the way than actually blocking stuff in combat. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes, there's a large emphasis on blocking,
Hmm.
though there is a rework of the combat system in general we're working on, which is in the pipeline, that adds more of a damage system with pierce damage and so on, where there's different damage types, and
Hmm.
enemies would have basically weaknesses for specific weapons visible or as visibly indicated, so, with armor and that kind of stuff. And that adds
Okay.
some more depth to it, to the combat itself.
Yeah. I think it might be worth if you can find like a let's play or something just to check out a little bit of gameplay of Zelda 2 because I think it's really
Mhm.
impressive how much they're able to accomplish with so little, just in terms of you get surprisingly complex 2D swordplay just from the ability to stand, crouch, attack high, attack low, because
Mhm.
enemies will do the same thing, and with very minimal animations, you can see like there's wind up on enemy attacks. It's just this tiny animation of a sword sticking out their back, and then before they strike forward, but it creates
Yeah.
a really neat system. So could be an
It's a
interesting
really
source of
cool.
inspiration.
It's a really cool idea. I think I recently saw a game picking that mechanic up on Reddit, I believe. So there is definitely a game which is somewhat close to that. And I take a look at that for sure. Because you can't have too many good mechanics if they're bound together correctly.
Absolutely. Oh, I realize I have the opportunity to. Oh no, I got a game over. Okay. Well, we raised $1.1 million, so, did we really lose?
Right.
You got killed rich, basically.
Oh, so these blue packages were the ones that the drones were supposed to deliver. So did you
Yes.
just have to like remove those from the equation of the happiness completely?
Um, I think they're just not getting distributed. I'm not really sure what's happening on that end.
So I just wanted to confirm, are people getting mad at me because of the packages I can't deliver?
I think in that case the algorithm just went up too high. I think it basically the way it works is it basically does not spawn those packages until you have unlocked drones. The pro to buying
Okay.
drones and those packages are they give high rewards. I think
Okay.
the 4 or 5 amount of the normal packages. So it's really worth delivering them, but it's not working.
I see. I see. All right. Well, if anybody has any questions from chat, now would be the time to ask them. But in the meantime, um, I see that you've got Uncured up on Steam, so people can wishlist that. I'll drop a link to that in the chat.
Hey,
Is there
yeah,
anything
thank
else that
you.
you want to draw attention
Awesome.
to? I imagine this is kind
Um,
of the main focus, right?
Yes, this is our main focus. Not really. I mean, people who are interested are glad to just follow our dev journey, of course.
Mhm.
And we also always take ideas and so on, and actually do streams on the development where we actually, make mechanics and the chat can influence them. Um, but yeah.
Nice. Well, if you'd ever like to come back on, like, not only do I cover Game Jam games, but I have also like played people's games and given like in-depth feedback on
Mhm.
them. So if that's something you'd be interested in down the line, I'd be happy to have you back on.
Sure. We get back to it probably with the demo.
Yeah, we
Awesome.
did, I think. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining me on the call today. Everyone should check out Package Panic, see how much ridiculous amounts of money you can raise before the happiness drains down to zero. And yeah, I think that's where we'll wrap things up because I'm not seeing any questions coming in from chat. But yes, Michelle, Giannis, thank you so much for joining me on the call today. And yeah, hopefully we'll get to take a look at Uncured soon.
Yeah, thank you
Bye.
for having us. It was awesome.
All right, bye for now.